Jai Gurudev, your insights have been truly enriching. I'm now curious about how Bhojnam Vidhi aligns with the broader spiritual and cultural teachings of Hinduism. How does this eating ritual integrate into the values of Hindu philosophy, and can it help deepen one's connection with spiritual practices outside of the dining table? That's a very important question, Jai Gurudev. Bhojnam Vidhi is deeply rooted in Hindu philosophy and integrates seamlessly with the broader spiritual teachings of the tradition. The practice is a reflection of core Hindu principles like ahimsa or non-violence, satya, truth, and Brahman, the supreme reality, and santosha or contentment, all of which come together to elevate the act of eating to a sacred ritual. One of the central ideas in Hinduism is the concept of prasada, which refers to the food that has been offered to the divine and is then received by devotees as a blessing. This ties in with the Bhojanam Vidhi because when we perform the eating ritual, we are essentially turning our meals into prasada. We are not just consuming food, we are receiving divine nourishment that connects us to the universe. The very idea that food is a gift from God is a profound reflection of the Hindu value of seeing the divine in everything, even in the simplest aspects of life like eating. The Gayatri Mantra and other prayers recited during Bhojanam Vidhi act as a reminder of our higher purpose. We are not only focusing on the body's physical need for sustenance, but also nourishing our minds and souls by offering the food to the divine before eating. We are acknowledging that everything we have, our health, our sustenance, and our very life, is a divine gift. This practice of offering food before consumption deepens the connection with the divine and fosters a deeper awareness of Brahman, all the ultimate truth that resides in all things. Moreover, the practice of Bhojanam Vidhi connects us with the principles of karma and dharma. By performing this ritual, we recognize that eating is not just about satisfying personal desires, but about following the path of righteousness or dharma. The act of sprinkling water, chanting mantras, and offering food before partaking it is an expression of karma yoga, or the yoga of selfless action. It teaches us that every act, whether mundane or divine, can be an offering to the higher consciousness. This helps us approach life with more mindfulness and a sense of duty. By performing Bhojanam Vidhi daily, we reinforce these core principles and create a rhythm of spirituality in our lives. We gradually begin to realize that every moment, including something as simple as eating, is an opportunity to align ourselves with divine principles and strengthen our connection to the cosmos. That's beautifully put. I can see how Bhojanam Vidhi is not just a ritual but a form of living the spiritual path. But how do you think the younger generation, especially those who might not have been raised with these practices, can be encouraged to adopt such a deeply spiritual and meaningful approach to eating? Yes, this is a challenge, particularly in today's fast paced, convenience driven world. However, I believe that we are beginning to see a resurgence of interest in conscious living, especially among the younger generation. We are increasingly aware of the need for deeper connection, balance, and sustainability in their lives. The key to encouraging the younger generation to embrace Bhojanam Vidhi lies in making the practice relevant to their lives as much as it is a spiritual practice. Bhojanam Vidhi also addresses very practical concerns such as health, mindfulness, and sustainability. For instance, many young people today are already becoming more conscious of what they eat, choosing organic, locally sourced, or plant based foods. Bhojanam Vidhi can serve as a natural extension of this awareness, helping them not only think about the nutritional value of food, but also its spiritual significance. One of the most effective ways to introduce this practice is through education and example. If parents, teachers, or spiritual mentors begin to incorporate Bhojanam Vidhi into their lives, it will naturally create curiosity in younger generations as they witness how the ritual brings peace, gratitude, and a sense of connection to a higher purpose. They may be inspired to explore the practice themselves. Additionally, the practice can be adapted for modern contexts. For example, in today's world, where eating happens in a variety of environments at work, at social gatherings, or even on the go, there is still room to incorporate mindful eating. While the full Bhojanam Vidhi might be performed at home, even small moments of gratitude and mindfulness before eating a meal, such as saying a prayer or simply pausing to appreciate the food, can have a transformative effect. By making the ritual flexible and accessible, it becomes easier for younger people to adopt. Furthermore, I think the link between spirituality and food consumption, especially when it comes to sustainability, is something younger generations care deeply about. The idea of respecting the food, acknowledging its sacredness, and and understanding the interconnectedness of all life can be a compelling draw for them as the world grapples with issues like food security, climate change, and ecological balance. Incorporating practices like Bhojanam Vidhi can deepen one's appreciation for how our actions around food impact the planet and all living beings. Incorporating Bhojanam Vidhi into educational programs or wellness retreats also provides a platform for young people to explore these spiritual practices in a structured, community oriented way. When they see their peers engaging in this ritual, it normalizes the practice and can inspire others to try it. It's great to hear that there is potential for this practice to connect with the younger generation through their values of sustainability and mindfulness. As a final thought, could you share with us the impact that Bhojanam Vidhi has had on your personal life and your spiritual journey, and how has it shaped your relationship with food, the divine, and even your daily interactions with others? Personally, Bhojanam Vidhi has been a deeply transformative practice in my own life. It has given me a profound sense of connection to the divine and to the universe. In the early stages of my spiritual journey, I would eat just for sustenance. Food was something I consumed out of habit without much thought, but over time I began to embrace Bhojanam Vidhi. I realized that food is much more than just fuel for the body, it's an offering to the divine. This shift in perception has completely changed my relationship with food. Every meal now feels like a sacred moment. I no longer take food for granted or eat mindlessly. Instead, I approach each meal with reverence, gratitude, and mindfulness. Bhojanam Vidhi has also deepened my awareness of the interconnectedness of all life. I understand that the food I consume is the result of the labor, energy, and resources of many people and elements of nature, and so I take more care in how I choose, prepare, and consume my food. The practice has also helped me cultivate a sense of patience and gratitude. In a fast paced world, it is easy to rush through meals or eat on the go, but Bhojanam Vidhi encourages me to slow down and appreciate the present moment. The act of offering food to the divine and expressing gratitude before and after the meal has led to a greater sense of contentment and peace in my daily life. Beyond food, Bhojanam Vidhi has influenced my relationships with others as well. The values of humility, respect, and gratitude that are central to the practice naturally extend into how I interact with people. I find myself being more patient, more mindful, and more compassionate in my dealings with others. Ultimately, Bhojanam Vidhi has become a bridge between the mundane and the divine. It's a reminder that spirituality is not confined to the temple or the meditation cushion, but that every moment, every breath, every bite of food is an opportunity to connect with the divine, to express gratitude, and to live a life of purpose and mindfulness. Thank you so much for sharing these beautiful reflections on how Bhojanam Vidhi has shaped your spiritual journey. Your insights into the practice's profound impact on daily life, both spiritually and practically, are incredibly valuable. We are grateful for your time and wisdom today. Jai Gurudev, it was my honor. I hope that through these teachings, more people can find peace, balance, and deeper connection in their lives. May we all be mindful, grateful, and conscious in every action, from the simplest to the most sacred. Thank you for this enriching conversation, Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev, your reflections are deeply insightful. As we continue our discussion, I would like to ask about the specific role of the Gayatri Mantra and other prayers used in the Bhojanam Vidhi. Could you explain their significance in the ritual and how they contribute to the spiritual experience of eating? Absolutely. The Gayatri Mantra and other prayers recited during Bhojanam Vidhi hold immense significance in the spiritual journey. The Gayatri Mantra is one of the most sacred, revered mantras in Hinduism and represents the highest form of spiritual knowledge. It is a prayer for enlightenment, asking for guidance to remove ignorance and bring clarity to our hearts and minds. When we recite the Gayatri Mantra before eating, we are invoking divine light to illuminate our understanding and appreciation of the food we are about to consume. The Gayatri Mantra also has a deep connection to the elements. The phrase Om Bhurbhuva Swaha acknowledges the three planes of existence, the physical, mental, and spiritual. This creates a sense of harmony between the body, mind, and spirit, making the act of eating a holistic experience. By chanting this mantra, we align our physical needs, food for the body, with our spiritual needs, nourishment for the soul, ensuring that our consumption of food is a conscious and sacred act. The other prayers and mantras used during Bhojanam Vidhi, like Satyam Tvartena Parishchin Chami and Amrutopasthara Namasi, serve to further sanctify the food and affirm our gratitude. Satyam Tvartane Parishchini Chami is an acknowledgement that the food before us is a manifestation of truth and righteousness, both of which are divine qualities. When we chant this mantra, we are recognizing that food is not just physical nourishment, but something imbued with a deeper spiritual significance. It is a gift of the divine that connects us to the eternal truth. The prayer Amruta O Pastara Namasi, when recited after eating, invokes the idea of immortality and divine blessing. It connects us with the notion of prasada, that the food consumed has become a blessing, a form of nectar that sustains the body and soul. The act of drinking water and sprinkling it around the food as part of these prayers creates a sense of purification both of the food and of the person performing the ritual. It's a form of spiritual hygiene that refreshes and rejuvenates us, bringing us closer to the divine. It is fascinating how the prayers and mantras elevate the entire eating experience, transforming it into a spiritual ritual. Now, I would like to touch on a practical aspect. Bhojanam Vidhi is traditionally observed by those who have undergone the Upanayam ceremony and are wearing the sacred thread. How does this practice specifically relate to the concept of dharma, and why is it restricted to those who have taken part in such a ceremony? That's a very important point, and it ties into the broader philosophy of dharma, which refers to righteousness, duty, and the moral code of life. The sacred thread or genuine worn by individuals who have undergone the Upanayam ceremony signifies their initiation into a higher stage of spiritual level. It marks the transition from childhood to adulthood, and in the spiritual sense, signifying that the individual is now ready to take on greater responsibilities both in terms of personal growth and societal duty. The act of wearing the sacred thread represents an individual's commitment to living a life in alignment with Dharma. It is a constant reminder to follow the righteous path and to uphold values such as truth, non-violence, and respect for all living beings. Bhojanam Vidhi is directly tied to this concept of dharma as it reinforces the importance of consuming food with reverence and mindfulness, not as a mere physical act, but as part of one's spiritual responsibility. By restricting the practice to those who have undergone the Upanayam ceremony, the ritual is intended to be performed by those who are expected to uphold their highest standards of living. It's a recognition that such a person is now in a position to understand the deeper spiritual significance of food and is ready to perform the ritual with full awareness and devotion. In other words, the sacred thread wearer is someone who has committed to a life of disciplined spiritual practice, and the Bhojanam Vidhi enhances that commitment by elevating the ordinary act of eating into something sacred. For those who have not undergone the ceremony, it's not that the ritual is forbidden, but it is typically not performed in the same formal manner. The practice of Bhojanam Vidhi is a reminder that spiritual discipline, which includes dietary practices, is a progressive journey. The Upanayam ceremony marks the beginning of that journey, opening the door to more advanced spiritual practices such as Bhojanam Vidhi, which is a reflection of one's commitment to walk the path of Dharma. That's a profound connection between the sacred thread Dharma and Bhojanam Vidhi. It shows how deeply rooted our rituals are in shaping a spiritual life. Moving to a more contemporary question, many people today are turning toward mindful eating practices such as slow eating, gratitude before meals, and conscious food choices. How do you see these modern practices aligning with the principles of Bhojanam Vidhi? And are there any parallels? I see very strong connection between modern mindful eating practices and the principles of Bhojanam Vidhi. In fact, many of the values and intentions behind mindful eating, like gratitude, mindfulness, and conscious consumption, are embodied in the ritual of Bhojanam Vidhi. Mindful eating, as practiced today, focuses on being present during meals, appreciating the flavors, textures, and nutrients of the food, and honoring the energy that the food brings. This resonates deeply with the idea in Bhojanam Vidhi that food is not just something we consume for pleasure or sustenance, but something we receive from the divine with reverence and gratitude. The act of slowing down, reflecting on the source of the food, and cultivating a sense of gratitude aligns perfectly with the prayerful approach of Bhojanam Vidhi, where each bite is taken with the acknowledgement that the food is a sacred offering. Similarly, modern practices emphasize conscious food choices, being aware of where the food comes from or its impact on the environment and its role in promoting overall well being. This ties directly into the Hindu view of food as prasada, something that is intrinsically tied to our spiritual and ecological existence. Bhojanam Vidhi encourages us to understand the interconnectedness of all life and recognize that the food we consume affects not just our bodies but the world around us. In essence, modern mindful eating practices are a return to ancient wisdom. They reflect a shift away from mindless overconsumption towards a more thoughtful, intentional, and reverent approach to eating. Bhojanam Vidhi provides a structured way to deepen this practice, giving individuals the tools to connect to their food to on a spiritual level, aligning body, mind, and soul in the act of nourishment. That's a beautiful connection between the ancient and the modern. As we wrap up, do you have any final thoughts on how Bhojanam Vidhi can be a transformative practice both individually and for society as a whole? To me, Bhojanam Vidhi is a practice that can truly transform individuals and society at large. On an individual level, it teaches us to cultivate mindfulness, gratitude, and reverence for all aspects of life. It elevates something as simple as eating into a sacred act, allowing us to pause and reflect on the divine gifts we receive. This practice of gratitude, respect, and awareness can bring a deep sense of peace and balance into our daily lives. On a societal level, Bhojanam Vidhi can help foster a culture of respect and mindfulness. In a world where we often rush through meals or consume food mindlessly, a ritual like Bhojanam Vidhi can serve as a powerful reminder to slow down, appreciate the abundance around us, and act with conscious awareness. It encourages us not just a deeper spiritual connection, but also a more responsible and sustainable approach to food, helping us to see food as a resource to be respected, not exploited. Ultimately, Bhojanam Vidhi embodies the idea that spiritual practices are not isolated to temples or prayer rooms. They are embedded in our daily actions. If we can transform something as simple as eating into a spiritual act, we can transform our lives, our communities, and the world itself. Thank you so much for such a profound and enlightening conversation. Your insights into Bhojanam Vidhi have truly illuminated the deeper spiritual significance of eating and how this practice can guide us to a more mindful, connected, and meaningful life. Dev, it's been a pleasure, my pleasure to share these thoughts with you. May we all approach every meal as an opportunity to connect with the divine, express gratitude, and live with greater mindfulness and purpose. Thank you for this thoughtful discussion, Jai. Jai Gurudev, and thank you for your valuable insights as we continue exploring the depth of Bhojanam Vidhi. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on how this practice impacts the relationship with food beyond the act of eating itself, and how does it influence our choices regarding what we consume and approach to sustainability and environmental consciousness. Jai Gurudev, that's a very pertinent question, especially in today's world where food choices are closely linked to broader concerns like sustainability, health, and the environment. Bhojanam Vidhi, when followed with true reverence, naturally influences our approach to food in a very holistic manner. It goes beyond just the physical act of eating to encompass the entire food cycle from sourcing, preparation, or consumption to the way we discard leftovers or waste. One of the core teachings embedded in the practice of Bhojanam Vidhi is the acknowledgement that food is a divine gift or Anna Bhavanti. The food that nourishes us, and we must respect it as a blessing. The ritual encourages us to value the food we eat, understand that it sustains a life force and is part of the larger cycle of life that involves nature, animals, and human labor. This perspective inherently fosters a sense of gratitude, care, and responsibility toward the food we consume. For instance, Annam Brahma, the concept that food is a form of the divine, is foundational to the practice. It makes us realize that every morsel is not just fuel for the body, but something sacred. This awareness directly influences our choices, encouraging us to consume food that is nourishing, balanced, and prepared with love and care. It also encourages minimizing food waste as we recognize the effort and divine energy invested in bringing the food to our plates. This is particularly relevant in the context of modern day environmental issues. The ritual underscores the idea of ahimsa or non-violence, which can be extended to our dietary choices. Many who practice Bhojanam Vidhi may feel a natural inclination to consume more plant based foods, avoiding overconsumption or meat and processed foods that can be harmful to both health and the planet. By recognizing food as a sacred offering, we become more conscientious about its impact on the environment, moving towards sustainable farming practices, local sourcing, and reducing our carbon footprint. The Bhojanam Vidhi also teaches us the importance of moderation. It's not about overeating or consuming food for indulgence, but about eating what is necessary for our nourishment and maintaining balance. This principle can help combat the culture of overconsumption that is prevalent in many societies today, promoting a more balanced, mindful, and sustainable approach to food. That's a beautiful way of seeing food not just as something to satisfy hunger, but as a sacred responsibility to the earth and its creatures. How does Bhojanam Vidhi, specifically in the context of its connection to the supreme shape and individual's mindset, about their life's purpose and actions. Bhojanam Vidhi has a profound way of shaping one's overall perspective on life. It is not just about eating, it is about how we relate to the world and everything in it. The ritual reinforces the idea that food is a divine gift, and consuming it with reverence directly ties the individual to a larger cosmic purpose. In the act of eating, we are acknowledging the divine presence in everything, be it the food, the people who prepared it, or the environment in which it was grown. The mantra of Satyam Tvarthena Parishcha Inchami, which is part of the ritual, emphasizes that food is an embodiment of truth. It encourages us to reflect on the values of truth, righteousness, and integrity in our lives. So, the practice of Bhojanam Vidhi, when done with sincerity, helps shape an individual's mindset to focus on living a life of honesty, morality, and aligned with the greater good. It fosters a deep understanding that every action, even the act of eating, is connected to a higher purpose. Moreover, the practice of offering food to the Supreme before partaking in it, through the pranahuti, offering food to the life force, creates a sense of humility and gratitude. This humility transcends the physical act of eating and leads individuals to recognize that their lives are sustained by a force much greater than themselves. It reminds us that everything from the food we eat to the air we breathe is a gift from the divine, and in accepting it, we must do so with reverence and responsibility. This connection with the divine through Bhojanam Vidhi helps individuals realize that their life's purpose is not just about personal fulfillment, but also about contributing to the collective well being of the world. It encourages actions that are in harmony with nature and with the divine order, whether it is in how we treat others, how we consume resources, or how we live our daily lives. Bhojanam Vidhi guides us to live with awareness of our spiritual role in the universe. That's a powerful perspective. As we talk about the interconnectedness of life, can you expand a bit more on how the ritual impacts social interactions, especially within family and community settings? Bhojanam Vidhi has a deeply unifying and harmonizing effect, especially in family and community settings. When performed together, it creates an atmosphere of sanctity and shared reverence, which strengthens bonds among family members, friends, and the larger community. The collective act of offering respect to the food and the divine energies creates a shared spiritual experience that transcends individual differences and fosters a sense of unity. In a family setting, Bhojanam Vidhi becomes a moment of spiritual connection. It serves as a reminder that food is not just for physical nourishment, but a shared offering that is meant to sustain everyone, both materially and spiritually. When a family gathers for a meal and performs Bhojanam Vidhi together, it reinforces values of gratitude, humility, and togetherness. The simple act of chanting mantras and offering food to the divine becomes a moment of collective worship, bringing the family closer, not just in material ways, but in spiritual harmony as well. In larger community settings, this shared ritual can help bind people together with a common purpose. It brings people from various walks of life together through the sacred act of eating. The spiritual unity fostered through Bhojanam Vidhi transcends any social divisions or societal divisions that reminds everyone of their interconnectedness as part of a larger cosmic order. This ritual of respect and gratitude towards food can, over time, create a sense of collective responsibility towards society and the environment. Moreover, Bhojanam Vidhi also encourages hospitality and sharing. Offering food with respect not only nurtures the individual, but creates a spirit of generosity and service. This is particularly significant in Indian traditions where serving food to others, especially guests and those in need, is seen as an act of seva or selfless service. Through this ritual, individuals learn that they are caretakers of divine resources and it is their responsibility to share these resources with others. It's remarkable how Bhojanam Vidhi fosters a sense of connection on so many levels: personal, familial, and spiritual, even communal, and even cosmic. Finally, as we look to the future, how do you see the continuation and evolution of this ritual in a rapidly changing world? The future of Bhojanam Vidhi, like many traditional practices, depends on how we adapt it while maintaining its spiritual essence. As the world becomes more fast paced and people are increasingly disconnected from their spiritual roots, there is a risk that these practices could fade away. However, there is also an opportunity to adapt these rituals to modern lifestyles without losing their core purpose. One way to ensure the continuity of Bhojanam Vidhi is to emphasize its universal and timeless principles such as gratitude, mindfulness, and respect for nature. These values resonate with a wide range of people, not only just those with religious backgrounds. By presenting Bhojanam Vidhi as a practice of mindful living and interconnectedness, we can encourage its adoption by younger generations and those interested in more holistic lifestyles. In urban environments where traditional food practices are sometimes diluted, the ritual can be integrated into daily routines in simple ways. For example, even if a family is eating in a rush, they can still pause for a moment to offer a silent prayer of gratitude for the food before eating. As long as the essence of reverence and gratitude is maintained, Bhojanam Vidhi can evolve to meet contemporary needs. At the same time, educational initiatives, community programs, and cultural events can play a crucial role in spreading awareness about the importance of Bhojanam Vidhi. These platforms can highlight how the practice not only serves spiritual purposes but also contributes to a more balanced, sustainable, and mindful way of living in a modern world. Ultimately, the essence of Bhojanam Vidhi is about fostering reverence for life, cultivating gratitude, and connecting with the divine in the everyday life. These are timeless values that will continue to resonate as long as there are people who seek meaning and mindfulness in their lives. Thank you so much for your profound reflections. Your insights into Bhojanam Vidhi have not only illuminated its spiritual significance, but also its potential to guide us in leading more mindful, connected, and sustainable lives. It's been a truly enlightening conversation. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss this sacred practice. May we all continue to honor the food we consume and live each moment with mindfulness, gratitude, and reverence for our life. Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev, as we continue this deep dive into Bhojanam Vidhi, could you speak to the role of discipline and personal transformation in this practice? And how does a regular observance of this ritual affect the individual on a personal and spiritual level? The regular practice of Bhojanam Vidhi is not only a form of spiritual ritual but also an important tool for personal discipline and transformation. At its core, Bhojanam Vidhi is a practice that requires consistency, mindfulness, and attention to detail, traits that foster spiritual growth by adhering to the prescribed procedures, such as reciting specific mantras and performing rituals with the right intention. The practitioner begins to cultivate a disciplined mind and body. One of the fundamental principles of Bhojanam Vidhi is the idea of offering a daily meal as a sacred act. This consistent discipline, whether it is the practice of gratitude before eating or the methodical approach to offering food to the divine, helps to instill a deeper sense of awareness in our everyday actions. The regular observance of this ritual transforms an ordinary mundane activity like eating into an opportunity for a spiritual practice. As practitioners begin to incorporate Bhojanam Vidhi into their daily lives, they often notice an integral shift. The simple act of pausing to acknowledge the sacredness of food and its role in sustaining life can lead to a profound transformation in one's mindset. It encourages a more conscious approach to food, not only in terms of how it is consumed, but also in how it is sourced, prepared, and appreciated. This awareness extends beyond the plate. Practitioners often find themselves becoming more mindful in their relationships, work, and interactions with the environment. This regular practice can also help individuals develop the capacity for patience, humility, and a deeper connection to the divine. It fosters the realization that our life is sustained by a force much greater than ourselves. Every meal becomes an opportunity to connect to that divine energy, strengthening our resolve to live in harmony with the universe and respect all forms of life. That's a beautiful insight into how Bhojanam Vidhi creates a ripple effect in one's life. Could you also address the significance of the Gayatri Mantra within this ritual? And how does chanting the Gayatri Mantra before or during meals deepen the spiritual impact of the practice? Yes, the Gayatri Mantra, which is central to Bhojanam Vidhi, is one of the most sacred and revered mantras in Hinduism. It is a prayer for enlightenment, invoking the divine energy of the sun god Savitri to illuminate the mind and remove ignorance. The mantra's significance extends far beyond its ritual use in Bhojanam Vidhi. When recited before meals, it serves to sanctify the food and elevate the process of eating into an act of spiritual purification. Of Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. The Gayatri Mantra has an inherently transformative effect on the individual, especially when it is recited with awareness and devotion in the context of Bhojanam Vidhi. Chanting this mantra before eating is a way to purify the body and mind and preparing the individual to receive the food as a divine offering. The mantra invokes the blessings of the divine and prepares the practitioner to approach food not merely a material sustenance, but as an offering that nourishes both the body and the soul. When you chant the Gayatri Mantra before eating, you align yourself with the divine consciousness and invite its illumination into your life. The mental and spiritual clarity that comes with reciting the Gayatri Mantra helps individuals transcend the material desires and brings them closer to self realization. It reminds us that food, like all things in life, is temporary and ultimately part of the larger cosmic cycle, reinforcing the idea that we must use the sustenance we receive wisely with reverence and respect. Furthermore, the Gayatri Mantra also connects the practitioner to the five elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space, symbolized in the mantra as Bhur, Bhuva, and Swaha. These elements are present in food, in the body, and in the universe. By invoking them through this powerful mantra, we align ourselves with the natural rhythms of the world, allowing us to partake in the food with a greater reverence for all of creation. That is a fascinating explanation of how the Gayatri Mantra enhances the ritual and aligns us with higher energies. Looking at the broader spiritual implications, do you think the practice of Bhojnam Vidhi can play a role in helping people cultivate a sense of self awareness or self realization? Absolutely. Bhojanam Vidhi is not just about the food, it is about cultivating mindfulness, self awareness, and ultimately self realization. This practice, when observed with sincerity, acts as a powerful reminder that every action in our daily lives holds potential for spiritual growth. Eating, which is often taken for granted, becomes an opportunity to step out of the ordinary and into a sacred space of presence and awareness. Self awareness is cultivated in the process of Bhojanam Vidhi in several ways. First, by taking the time to pause before eating and offer gratitude through the prayer. We acknowledge that we are not separate from the food we consume. We recognize the interconnectedness of all things: the earth, the crops, the animals, and the divine energy that sustains us. This realization fosters humility as we begin to see our own existence as part of a larger web of life rather than something isolated or disconnected. The second aspect of self awareness in Bhojanam Vidhi comes from the practice of pranahuti, offering food to the divine before consuming it. This practice of offering reminds us that we are not the sole recipients of the food, rather, we are caretakers of the sustenance provided by the food and the divine. This act of selflessness, where we first offer the food to God before enjoying it ourselves, nurtures a sense of devotion and surrender. It helps individuals transcend their ego and focus on the greater purpose of life: connection with the divine and the well-being of all beings. Finally, Bhojanam Vidhi encourages us to eat with the right mindset and intention, which directly impacts our mental and emotional state. The process of consciously offering food to the divine and reciting prayers before and after meals serves as a continual reminder of our connection to the divine and our own higher purpose. This alignment, when practiced regularly, allows us to become more attuned to the presence of the divine in every aspect of life, eventually leading to self realization. The regular observance of Bhojanam Vidhi helps individuals detach from the distractions of the material world and focus on the deeper truths of life. Over time, this practice creates a shift in consciousness, allowing one to see beyond the physical and experience the divine essence that exists in every moment, in every action, and in every bite of food. It's incredible to hear how such a seemingly simple ritual has such profound spiritual and transformative effects. As we approach the conclusion of this conversation, can you share any final thoughts on how Bhojanam Vidhi could benefit individuals in today's modern world? Yes, in today's fast paced world where everything is often rushed and disconnected from deeper spiritual roots, Bhojanam Vidhi offers a powerful antidote. It is a practice that teaches us to slow down, be mindful, and reconnect with what truly matters. In an age where we are surrounded by distractions and constant stimuli, taking a moment to offer reverence for to our food and the divine can be deeply grounding. It, in addition to its spiritual benefits, Bhojanam Vidhi also offers practical benefits that are highly relevant today. In a world where health concerns such as stress, overeating, and unhealthy food choices are rampant, Bhojanam Vidhi encourages mindful eating, moderation, and gratitude. It inspires people to choose food that nourishes both body and soul, fostering a sense of balance and wellness. For individuals who may feel disconnected from their spiritual practices, Bhojanam Vidhi serves as a bridge, a simple everyday ritual that keeps us grounded in our connection to the divine. It helps us reframe the act of eating as a sacred, transformative moment, inviting mindfulness and spiritual awareness into our daily routine. Whether someone is seeking a way to live more consciously, enhance their spiritual practices, or cultivate a deeper connection with nature, Bhojanam Vidhi offers a pathway that aligns with these modern desires. It is not just a ritual for the spiritually inclined, it's a practice that can benefit anyone seeking balance, peace, and connection in today's chaotic world. Thank you so much for sharing such profound insights. Your words have given us a deeper understanding of how Bhojanam Vidhi serves not just as a ritual but as a transformative tool for mindfulness, spirituality, and well being. It's been an enlightening conversation. It's been a true pleasure. May we all continue to nourish not just our bodies but our souls through the sacred act of eating. May Bhojanam Vidhi bring peace, gratitude, and spiritual awareness to everyone who practices it. Jai Gurudev.